Bemiđbar, Numbers chapter 33. These are the departures of the children of Israel, who went out of the land of Mitzrayim by their divisions under the hand of Moshe and Aharon. And Moshe wrote down the starting points of their departures at the mouth of Yah, and these are their departures according to their starting points. So they departed from Ramesses in the first new moon, on the 15th day of the first new moon, on the morrow of the Pesach. The children of Israel went out with boldness before the eyes of all the Mitzrites, and the Mitzrites were burying all their firstborn, whom Yah had stricken among them. Also on their mighty ones Yah had executed judgments. Then the children of Israel departed from Ramesses and camped at Succoth. And they departed from Succoth and camped at Etham, which is on the edge of the wilderness. And they departed from Etham and turned back to Pi-hahiroth, which is east of Baal-Zephon, and they camped near Migdol. And they departed from before Hahiroth and passed over through the midst of the sea into the wilderness, went 3 days' journey in the wilderness of Etham, and camped at Marah. And they departed from Marah and came to Elim, and at Elim were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, so they camped there. And they departed from Elim and camped by the Sea of Reeds. And they departed from the Sea of Reeds and camped in the wilderness of Sin. And they departed from the wilderness of Sin and camped at Dophkah. And they departed from Dophkah and camped at Alush. And they departed from Alush and camped at Rephidim. And there was no water for the people to drink. And they departed from Rephidim and camped in the wilderness of Sinai. And they departed from the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kibroth Hatta'awa. And they departed from Kibroth Hatta'awa and camped at Hatzeroth. And they departed from Hatzeroth and camped at Rithmah. And they departed from Rithmah and camped at Rimmon Peretz. And they departed from Rimmon Peretz and camped at Libnah. And they departed from Libnah and camped at Rissah. And they departed from Rissah and camped at Kehelathah. And they departed from Kehelathah and camped at Mount Shapher. And they departed from Mount Shapher and camped at Haradah. And they departed from Haradah and camped at Machheloth. And they departed from Machheloth and camped at Tahath. And they departed from Tahath and camped at Terah. And they departed from Terah and camped at Mithkah. And they departed from Mithkah and camped at Hashmonah. And they departed from Hashmonah and camped at Moseroth. And they departed from Moseroth and camped at Bnei Yaakan. And they departed from Bnei Yaakan and camped at Hor Haggidgad. And they departed from Hor Haggidgad and camped at Yokbathah. And they departed from Yokbathah and camped at Abrona. And they departed from Abrona and camped at Etzion-Geber. And they departed from Etzion-Geber and camped in the wilderness of Sin, which is Kadesh. And they departed from Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor, on the boundary of the land of Edom. Then Aharon the priest went up to Mount Hor at the mouth of Yah, and died there in the 40th year after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Mitzrayim, on the first day of the 5th new moon. Now Aharon was 123 years old when he died on Mount Hor. And the sovereign of Arad, the Canaanite, who dwelt in the south in the land of Canaan, heard of the coming of the children of Israel. So they departed from Mount Hor and camped at Salmonah. And they departed from Salmonah and camped at Punon. And they departed from Punon and camped at Oboth. And they departed from Oboth and camped at Iye ha-Abarim, and the border of Moab. And they departed from Iyim and camped at Dibon Gad. And they departed from Dibon Gad and camped at Almon Diblathayimah. And they departed from Almon Diblathayimah and camped in the mountains of Abarim before Nebo. And they departed from the mountains of Abarim and camped in the desert plains of Moab by the Yarden of Jericho. and they camped by the Yarden from Beth Yeshmona as far as the Abel Shittim to the desert plains of Moab. And Yah spoke to Moshe in the desert plains of Moab by the Yarden of Jericho, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When you have walked over the Yarden into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you, and shall destroy all their engraved stones, and shall destroy all their molded images, and lay waste to all their high places. And you shall possess the land and dwell in it, for I have given you the land to possess. And you shall divide the land by lot as an inheritance among your clans. To the larger you give a larger inheritance, and to the smaller you give a smaller inheritance. Wherever the lot falls to anyone, that is his. You inherit according to the tribes of your fathers. And if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall be that those whom you let remain shall be pricks in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and they shall trouble you in the land where you dwell. And it shall be that I do to you as I thought to do to them.